Welcome back to the Valley, where the Addicts look to forget cup football and continue the improving league form since the arrival of head coach Michael Appleton. Cambridge United are today's visitors and have a familiar face in the dugout as former Millwall player and manager Neil Harris takes his first game in charge of the club. The U's have been struggling for form, which has seen the end of a long-term manager, Mark Bonner, and will be desperate for a positive start to the Harris era. With less than 45 minutes until kick-off, let's take a look at what we have coming up. We'll hear from Michael Appleton, who spoke to CharltonTV ahead of today's game. Charlton women top the Women's Championship and will be joined shortly by Charlton Women's co-captain, Kate Longhurst. And we'll speak to the skipper, George Dobson, as the Addicts look to continue their push up the table. Well, a warm welcome to everybody who's tuning in across the world. And if you haven't done so already, make sure if you are outside the UK, you can purchase your live streaming pass for just £10. Well, you might recognise my voice. Some people might not, some people will. But I'm delighted to be given the opportunity to host alongside these two fine gentlemen alongside me, Mr. Steve Brown and Mr. Alan Curbishley. Guys, how you doing?
Who are you? Who are you? You didn't say who you was.
I'm just glad you got here after Thursday night, mate.
All right. Yeah.
Oh, his little eyes were crossed
What was
over.
What was he on? Guinness?
Yeah, he was whatever he could get his hands on.
No, we had a good night, Keith, to be fair. No, it was a good night. But Curbs, let's start with you. I hear you travelled with Jason Morgan in
share a car.
Yeah, part of the greener game today.
Well, Jason Morgan MBE, the only MBE in the village, by the way. He picked me up, yeah. So we shared the car today. Bit concerning he's driving.
We can't see, can he? Well, it's like Magoo.
He's took me in the
he can't see over the steering wheel. When he can, he's got big thick
He actually took me to places I've never been before.
Exactly. He don't know where he's going. He can't see over the steering wheel, can he?
We went Bexley. Yeah, Bexley.
Good part of the world.
Yeah, but I've never been to Bexley getting to the Valley.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's great. It's great to have you guys alongside me. Browning, we have to just shift focus slightly in terms of today's game. It is an important one. You were there on Wednesday night, and a disappointing way to end, but it was a penalty shootout and going out of the cup. But focus turns back to the league, where the last league game, of course, we did get a victory. So how do the players go about shifting that focus back to the league again?
Yeah, I always found the league a little bit of I always found the cup a little bit of a distraction, and there was times in your career where you got left out of that cup squad and you looked forward to the league game again, and there was other times you were brought in for the cup squad and you knew you were missing out on the league fixture. So, you know, there'll be players that played Wednesday night, have had a quick turnaround to get ready for today, and I think the mentality on Wednesday night would have been, we want to get through, but if we don't get through, it isn't the end of the world sort of thing. Whereas today, if we've got any visions of staying in the hunt, I think the next 3 or 4 fixtures over this December period, Barnsley away is tough, but the ones either side of that, we've got to be looking to press home, certainly the home advantage we've got on a couple of those teams at Cambridge and Burton, and be looking to get 6 points, which puts us under a little bit of pressure. You know, and I think you'll back me up on this one. This is another one of those ones where you expect us to get 3 points, Greg. I think one's going to be disappointing. You lose, I think there's going to be a reaction. Yeah,
and Kurt, you've been there as a manager where you've had the cup competitions, you might have had a spell of back-to-back cups as we've had. Coming back to the league, you want that win straight away to get the confidence going again.
Yeah, and I think Brownie is right. It's a must-win game. No two ways about it. Cambridge, no disrespect to Cambridge, but they're coming here today, down the bottom. You know, we've got to take full advantage of it. And I always think that, you know, it's not going to be the biggest crowd here for all sorts of reasons, the weather, Christmas, the opposition. But the players who will get the fans going, I don't think it's the other way around today. I think it's the players who are going to have to perform and get the crowd up. And the problem is, when it's not so busy here, as a player, as a manager, you can hear everything. You can hear the grunt, you can hear the moans, you can also hear the praise as well. And that's what I think what we've got to be looking for. And when you've got this situation, some players go in their shells, not to make a mistake, and so you become safety first, really, and then nothing really is going to happen. Well, they've got to express themselves. They've got to come out today and go, we're Charlton, we're playing Cambridge, it's 3 points.
And we should be full of confidence, really, Greg, as well. We've got a decent home record this year, and they've got a dreadful away record, which I'm sure will get covered across the next sort of 35 minutes or so. But
well,
yeah,
let's start there with the home form here, because
Yeah.
we've won 5 of the last 7 home matches here.
Yeah.
So that is Curve spoke about this ground and how today is an important one for the players and the fans, but also the players will know that record. They'll know that this is a bit of a happy hunting ground in terms of bringing that confidence back.
Yeah, look, I think I'll go back to those 2 early home games that we lost to Port Vale and Bristol Rovers. Actually, our home record could have been unbelievable. Losing to Bolton's no shame. I think they're going to be if you finish above them, you'll get promoted, sort of thing. It's that sort of cliche with Bolton. But losing to Port Vale and Bristol Rovers here, we could have been top of the home form guide, and like you've said on many occasions, the home form, make it your fortress. It's still decent though. But I think there's a bit more added pressure, because our Cambridge is going to see a little new manager bounce today. If they'd have come here, I think last week under Bonner, expectations would have been quite low. But you get that new manager bounce. He walks in the building. He's picked his first team today, and they're going to come out. They want to impress him. Hopefully we don't see that. But in terms of on paper, it looks like a home banker. But I'm not so sure that's the case today.
Yeah, Curbs, Neil Harris, a good appointment for Cambridge, a lot of experience, and we've seen him manage here for Gillingham, Cardiff, I think he managed, and also Millwall, of course. So it's going to be a challenge for Charlton today.
Yeah, but he's only just been out of a job, hasn't he, Gillingham, and he's got back in quickly, and one of the reasons he's got back in is because he's had the experience of this league and just around it, and he knows the players, and I think you're right, Brownie. I think that when a team's down the bottom and been struggling, listening to the same voice, a new voice comes in, a new attitude, and they'll be up for the 11 that he's picked will want to be the 11 for next week as well. So there's no agenda. Perhaps some players under Mark Bonner may have felt they wasn't getting, a fair crack of the whip, but it's all to play for now if you're in the Cambridge squad.
And from a managerial point of view, how would you have adjusted when a manager comes in during the week, a new manager, all that sort of scouting that's gone on the week before is probably going to be slightly changed?
When I went into West Ham, I think the 4 coaches there at the time, I asked them all for their team for the Saturday, and they was all widely different. None of them was, there was 4 changes there and 5 there and 6 there. So I think he would ask advice of people around it, but then he'll have to make his mind up. Yeah, but I'll go back to what I said earlier about Harris. He's a vastly experienced manager, and I think he'd be rubbing his hands together, getting back into the game so quick, and a game like this, where he's bound to get a bit of stick as he walks out, and he'd be looking forward to it, I think.
Yeah, he hasn't had long to work with them. I think Wednesday was the appointment, wasn't it? So you're looking at Thursday, Friday. But the one thing I know about Neil, and I've interviewed Neil a couple of times, is that he'll probably go 4-4-1-1. Right, and normally he's very compact behind the ball, and his teams are very difficult to break down. It doesn't make for brilliant viewing sometimes, but that's where he starts. So I'd expect a very sort of defensive setup from Cambridge, who are difficult to break down today. But he has only had 48 hours. 2 sessions is next to nothing.
Well, let's hope it's going to be a bit of an entertaining game here in SE7. But now it's time to hear from Michael Appleton, who spoke to Charlton TV a little early on.
Michael, thanks for talking to us pre-game. We're back at home, where we're 5 wins in 7 in the league. How much are you looking forward to be back at the Valley?
Yeah, obviously it's been good to us over the last couple of months or so, and we've had some really good performances, good results, and yeah, we're hoping for the same again today.
It's a quick turnaround from Wednesday, of course. How will that impact the team?
Well, I suppose it has in a way, in terms of players we've got available. But I think sometimes you get into a sort of mindset, especially when you know what's ahead of you, and you prepare yourself properly. We haven't done a lot in between the games, so obviously from an energy point of view we should be okay today. Obviously in the latter stages of the game we might have to make one or two changes, but that's only natural anyway.
You've made some changes to the first team and on the bench. Do you want to talk us through those today?
Yeah, a lot of it sort of down to circumstances, players being injured. Obviously Terrell gets his opportunity to sort of come in from the start as a centre half. That's a more natural position, I suppose. Obviously he had a spell playing left back for us early on in the season, or certainly when I walked through the door. I mean, obviously Chem's got his opportunity now. A couple of players out of form at the minute that we needed to address, and he gets his opportunity today. He's had to be patient, he's had to wait, probably down to a lack of sort of form in himself as well in the early part of my time being here. So, and obviously we've got young Henry, who, let's face it, to be fair, you know, in his first start the other night, he had an impact on the game, and he sort of blew up after about 55 minutes, 60 minutes the other night. And I don't know if that was down to the adrenaline, the anxiety of obviously your first game, but listen, if we get a similar sort of performance out of him for 60 minutes, then you know he's going to be a handful today.
I was going to mention Henry, first full league debut, I think, here at the Valley, so he's going to have adrenaline today as well in front of the Valley crowd. Is it a case of managing that or trying to manage that?
Yeah, a little bit, but there's one or two players in the group that you know I think will sort of rally round him, and depending on obviously how we start, when we win the toss, if he's down our side on that first half, we can manage him as well. But look, the reality is he's there for a reason. He's earned the right. His performances in the 18s and the 21s have been very good. Something that I've made note of over the last couple of months, and obviously the one thing that he has got in abundance is raw pace. So you know, hopefully we can utilise that today.
Cambridge have a new man in the dugout. What were you expecting from them today?
Well, they'll certainly be resolute. They'll be resilient, hard to beat. You know, it might take a little bit of time for Chopper to, you know, like stamp his authority on the group, but the type of personality and character he is, I'm sure that in the couple of days he's been at the football club, he would have got his points across. Yeah, it's going to be a tough fixture, we know that. You know, obviously they had a decent result last week in the FA Cup against Fleetwood, and they'll be looking forward to adding to that today.
Have you come up against Neil Harris teams before that you can look back on?
Plenty of times, to be fair. I've had some good battles when he was at Millwall and I was at Oxford, and when he was at Gillingham, Lincoln, etc. So yeah, many times. So you know, one thing's for sure, you have to turn up. You have to make sure that first 20 minutes you've got to be at it, and you've got to be prepared to fight and scrap. And I think if we do that, and I know we've got a lot of attacking sort of players out at this moment in time, but I still think we've got lots of threats on the pitch.
The crowd here at the Valley have been vital. You've said it yourself, in our home form here. How much more important are they going to be today?
Massive, and sticking with the group, because obviously, you know, it's a very different group today from probably what they've seen in recent times. You know, there's a young element to the group today, and that they're going to at times find periods of the game where it's going to be tough. And the crowd are going to have to stay with them, and listen, they've been brilliant at that so far, so I'm hoping for more of that today, and I'm sure at some point when we have the big spells in the game that, you know, we can take our chances.
Thanks for joining us, Michael. Good luck.
Cheers.
Well, great to hear from Michael there. Let's take a look at the confirmation of the lineup. So 3 changes for Charlton from the game midweek against Reading. In comes Terrell Thomas, Chem Campbell and Corey Blackett-Taylor. Out come Lloyd Jones, who's missing with a minor quad injury, Tyrese Campbell and Louis Watson. First of all, Curbs, let's come to you. A blow for Charlton today not having Lloyd at the back, Terrell Thomas coming in, but it's an opportunity for him as well.
Yeah, but it's blow after blow, isn't it? Miles out, Chuck's out. There's you know, seems to be a few injuries flying around at the moment, and yeah, so yeah, the young boy coming in, he must be full of beans, you know, looking forward to it. But I just think, I look at the front 3 or 4 again. They're the ones, for me, that have got to perform and do the damage. Brownie will talk about clean sheets, but I just think that playing at home, I'm looking at people who's going to hopefully nick us a goal. And I'm looking at Alfie May playing up top again, and the formation, hopefully there's enough there.
Well, you were there Wednesday night, Brownie, so you saw Henry Ryler in action. For people who don't know, you got a glimpse of him on Wednesday. There's obviously different stepping up from the academy to first team. But he's a player who has ability. What did you make of his performance midweek?
Well, considering it's his first start, I thought he did particularly well, actually. I mean, he showed he's got good pace. I mean, the one thing is he was up against quite a strong fullback who in terms of upper body strength, had far more than Henry had. So he had to use, you know, his knowledge in different ways to beat him. He wasn't going to beat him just, you know, 1v1 strength-wise. So he dropped his shoulder a couple of times, went into the space behind, which was good to see. And when he got in possession, he didn't try and beat him. He just got his half a yard and crossed it. And so he showed good intelligence. What I would say is he just needed to compose himself a little bit more. But you can forgive him for that. He's a young kid getting into the team for the first time. So, yeah, more to come, I'm sure. And like I said, you'll see him in this game. I'd have a look early at their fullback. I'd put it in behind, let him have a go toe to toe, and see if he's got the pace to cover it. If he hasn't, I'd use that.
And Curbs, another opportunity for Chem Campbell, who hasn't been involved recently, but when he has been this season, we have seen glimpses of a very good, exciting player, and he's been given that opportunity today by Michael Appleton.
Yeah, but it's what I was saying earlier about, you know, the size of the crowd and the atmosphere here today. It tends for players to go into their shell a little bit and play safe, and they've got to express themselves. If they're going to beat, I mean, we're expecting to beat Cambridge, but as I keep saying about going forward, they've got to express themselves and be brave on the ball. And, you know, why not? When you've just come into the side, the young players, they've got to go out there and express themselves. Let's hope they can do it.
And there's a couple of changes on the bench as well. Recalled from Southend, Daniel Carner, who featured against Gillingham last week and in midweek as well. And Deji Elere back from Bromley as of today. So it is a youthful bench.
Yeah, really young. I just wondered if Carney might start today, because if you look at that midfield three, certainly Chem and Fraser aren't really renowned for their robustness in terms of physically getting on top of opponent, going shoulder to shoulder. Henry's not that type of player either. Blackett-Taylor doesn't really go toe-to-toe with people. He's not a tackler. And Elfie is industrious. I just wondered if we went for Carney for a little bit of physicality. You know, Elfie dropping in that hole, and you know, Tyrese is coming out the side, who offers a little bit more upper body strength. But he probably didn't do enough on Wednesday night, to be honest, to break into this team. That is one of the issues looking down at that bit of paper. There's not a lot of physicality in there. I just wonder if Cambridge take advantage of that. But yeah, I mean, in terms of the bench, Deji, obviously we're loaning him out actually, Greg, because you know he's got to get experience from somewhere. We talk about this all the time, about the 21s, 23s football, whatever guys it's under. You know, you need to get those players to move on and get into senior football. So if we recall them, they need to start sort of getting involved at some point.
Well, let's just take a break from football just for the time being and talk about another favourite topic of Brownies, and that's beer. This week, meantime, I've been getting to work on a new ale at the Valley. Let's take a look.
We've got a bit of history which is coming back to life again. Back in the old days, before we left the Valley, there used to be a pub at the back of the covered end, and the pub sign from that is now to be found in the Charlton Museum.
It's called Robin's Tavern, and when we were talking to our colleagues at Meantime, we wanted to have a bespoke beer for Christmas if we could. And the beauty of working with Meantime is that they can react to things like that. They can create bespoke beers.
It's an evolution of an old recipe that we have from the Meantime back catalogue. We caught up with the team from Charlton a couple of months ago, and they put the idea towards us, and here we are today with a beer that's launching tomorrow for the game against Cambridge. I
just said to them, well, look, here's the old pub sign, what can you do with this? And what they can do with that is Robin's Tavern Red Ale, which I had a little sample yesterday. It's rather nice.
You're going to get citrus, pine, lots of hops, so there's 5 different hop varieties in this beer, all English malts, so you'll get a lot of tangerine, grapefruit, pine flavours, things like that.
It's not used now, but it was one of our old nicknames. The Charlton, of course, were the Robins. So it's history being brought back to life again.
It's always great to offer a variety of different beers. We've got a lager on, there's an IPA on, there has been a pale ale on, but there's never been a red ale at the Valley. The Valley's colours, Charlton's colours are red. We've got a red ale in our back catalogue, so it makes perfect sense.
Well, it's great to see, meantime, looking to work with the club to celebrate our history. It does say on my script that we were supposed to have some of that ale here right now. I don't know where that's gone. Maybe you've drunk it all.
Oh, no. When was that?
Yeah, we went, didn't we?
Well, we'll just come on to that, actually. So last year, you did get an opportunity to pour some pints with Meantime. Let's start with you, Curbs. I'd say, in my history of being a Charlton fan, that's probably the happiest I've ever seen you.
I haven't even drunk any of it yet. No, we had a good day down there.
Yeah, we were getting little samples of other drinks that and some were a little bit offbeat, but.
Well, to be fair, on Thursday night you were pouring some, and
I
it wasn't a bad effort.
of pints that come out lovely, didn't they?
Well, let's take a look at your one here. Look at that, you've got 2 there.
Yeah, I thought probably comparing. Yeah, I mean that looks better than Curbs. He had no top to it at all, did it? It's a flat almost.
Don't say they serve flat beer.
I should have said that. Yeah.
No.
Well, you're looking forward to trying the new ale?
Not today, because of
No,
Thursday.
you're not feeling 100%.
I'm not
You're
feeling
doing well.
No, I've been given some medication
Lightweight.
today. Right.
Lightweight.
That's
After
made me
Thursday.
feel a little bit rough. I got to be honest with you.
Yeah, we've heard that one before. Well, let's move away from beer talk for now and let's concentrate on today's league fixtures. There's a lot of good games on today and actually across the weekend. We'll start by talking about Bristol Rovers. They get the Matt Taylor era underway at home to Cheltenham Town, while Steve Evans, who has been linked with the Taylors' previous Rotherham United job, will travel to Burton Albion with his 4th place Stevenage side. 20th place Exeter City host 19th place Port Vale in a battle between two very out-of-form teams. Leyton Orient host Derby County, who currently hold that all-important 6th place. The tie today sees Peterborough host Oxford United, while the top two, Portsmouth and Bolton, battle it out in front of the Sky cameras in a mouth-watering matchup. And Brownie, let's start with that game. Portsmouth v Bolton. Portsmouth missing Colby Bishop, leading striker. That's the game of the weekend, no question about it.
Yeah, and it's one of those ones, if you're the away side, you'll take a little point there and hope to beat them on the home fixture. But yeah, there was a couple of nice ones in there, but that is the pick of the bunch. That should be a really good game. Both are in incredibly good form, and sustaining it. So I think that's the one to go and watch this weekend.
And Curves, Peterborough v Oxford is always a decent tie in League One, and again that's going to be a close one to call.
Yeah, Oxford started off doing ever so well, and Peterborough, Ferguson going back, and it's changed them around a little bit. So yeah, that's a good game. But the one I was looking at was Orient versus Derby, because we played Orient, didn't we? First game, and you feared for them a little bit, newly promoted and that, and they've done really well. And Derby, that's a big side going down there today. Can they get the result against that? It's like David and Goliath, really, isn't it?
And Brownie, Matt Taylor in at Bristol Rovers, did a good job at Exeter. Didn't quite go the way for him at Rotherham that he probably would have liked, but certainly it looks like a decent appointment.
Yeah, I watched Rotherham this year, and they were poor actually. So I don't think he's got the backing that he perhaps thought he was going to get when he turned up, and that happens. See it a lot where managers go into a position and they get promised something in the interviews and it doesn't quite come off. They looked a little bit lost when I watched them at Millwall. Millwall gave them a right good thumping, and sadly you kind of thought it was inevitable he was going to move on, and it's just great that he's picked up another job, because it's not easy to do. In terms of once you go somewhere, it doesn't go your way, you come out, sometimes it can take a long time to get another opportunity, so pleased for him that he has.
And just outside of League One, in the managerial world, Chris Wilder going back to Sheffield United, someone you both know.
Well, this is the month. This is the month where it all kicks off, and you've seen so many managers go already, and I think there'll be a few more going before Christmas. But Chrissy Wilder, I think they've probably thought, he knows the club inside out. He obviously has kept touch with it, since he left, and I think that they've gone for a safe pair of hands. And someone else going in there may have wanted to change the whole thing around. It ain't just the manager now, is it? It's the staff and etc. So yeah, I think they've gone for the obvious choice, and let's hope it works for them. But them three newly promoted sides look as if they're all going to struggle, don't they? It's a bit of a struggle up at the moment. So we'll see how he gets on.
Yeah, and we had this discussion on Thursday night, didn't we, Brownie, about the brutal nature of football, that even when you do good jobs, and I know you've had personal experience with that, you've had trouble times at clubs and you've got through that and you've done a decent job, and still it's not deemed quite good enough. Yeah,
we've seen it many times, and I think the football's changed enormously. The landscape's changed where you just don't get time anymore, so you focus on the immediate. So all this, you used to go in and say, I've got a plan, I want to do this, and you'd step it out. And early on, you concentrate on squad building, because that's everything. And now you've got to hit the ground running. You don't really get enough windows to squad build, and so you have to really work with what you got. And sometimes that squad's a bit fragile. Like I just said there, sometimes you get promised something, you get promised an amount or a budget or a transfer budget for the next window. It doesn't come. They say they want mid-table for this season and go next. They don't. They change the goalposts when you sign on. They want playoffs that year. It's very complex, all of it. And sometimes you lose jobs for no real reason that you can control, and other times you deserve it. And it's just how football is. It's a brutal industry.
Well, we will be hearing from George Dobson shortly about today's game, but for the time being, let's just go on today, Curbs. We mentioned about Cambridge looking to come here with new manager, looking to impress. It's a game where you feel as a Charlton fan that we've got an opportunity to really ignore that and just look at our upcoming games and build a run of form coming into this tough.
The expectation level is, because we're playing Cambridge, you know, down the bottom, is that it's 3 points, and it's got to be, really, isn't it? I mean, I think most Charlton fans are coming here thinking not only it's going to be a walkover, but we're going to get the 3 points. But that's the pressure that they're under at the moment, and Michael's not got a consistent team in terms of team selection because of the injuries and etc. So yeah, we'll be looking at least at 2 or 3 players, hoping they start well, because you know they've been put into the side. We've had a couple of bad results going forward. Yeah, so this is a tough game for us today. That's why I'm saying about, if I was in the dressing room, it'd be about expressing yourself. Don't go in your shell. And if you do give the ball away and there's a groan or two, just get on with it. You know, I'd rather see that than safety first all the time and getting nowhere. I'd rather see people trying stuff, and if it don't quite work, then get on with it. Ignore the noise, because they're going to hear it. There's no doubt about it. There's not going to be a big crowd here, and if it don't start so well, then they're going to have to really be brave on the ball.
It's times like this you look for your most experienced players as well, and Michael Hector, being probably the most experienced looking at Charlton's team, has got a bit of extra responsibility today. Yeah,
but I think that's one of the things we lack. Like, even if you look at Michael, doesn't stand out like a brilliant leader. So you look at Dobbo really as the one that can maybe show with his performances and then back it up verbally. But there's not a great deal of leadership in that team, and that's something we lack, and it's probably something that's going to get looked at in January. I think the issue for Cambridge is, they don't actually leak too many goals. They're 21st in away form, but they've only leaked like 15 goals in the 9 games. It's goal scoring's the issue for them. So they've got to find a way to score a few more, but they've probably not. The one thing we have done this year, we've done it well, is score goals. Particularly here at the Valley. So it's going to be fascinating as this one unfolds.
Well, Brownie, you're going to have to go off to the commentary box. We're going to be joined by a special guest shortly.
You normally get subbed on.
I've normally come on for the last 10, not on for the first 60. So I'm getting better as my career
First thing
moves
he said
along.
to me, I'm subbed off again.
Subbed off again.
It's a raw subject for Brownie. But first of all, let's hear from the captain, George Dobson, who spoke to Charlton TV a little early on. We're just having some technical issues, I think, with the George Dobson interview. The guys arrived slightly differently today, so there's been a bit of a change to proceedings at the moment. But just what's going on, you might be able to hear some noise in the background, because it's a busy studio today, because we're delighted that while Brownie's sorting himself out and going back to the gantry, we're delighted to be joined by women's team co-captain Kate Longhurst. Kate, welcome to Charlton TV.
Thank you, thanks for having me. I did hear that I was going to get some beer as well, though, so
right.
It's the only reason I came.
Well, this is the issue. Look, you get promised things here. And also in the background, you've got a teammate as well. We won't be able to see her on the screen, so she's smiling
But
away.
it's like 24 hours before a game?
Yeah, no, I'm only joking, obviously.
right,
I don't
okay.
touch the stuff. But,
I thought it was different rules
yeah, no.
Well, I'm making my presenting debut here, and I believe it's your first time in the studio as well.
Yeah.
What do you make of it?
It's a nice little studio, isn't it? Good view of the pitch from here. So, yeah, it's exciting to kind of watch how the boys
How
do
many times
today.
have you played on the pitch?
I think we've played there 5 times since I've been here.
Good.
Yeah, it's a great pitch to play at. We love playing at the stadium, so it's a really good opportunity for us as well.
And you arrived here in the summer from West Ham. How are you finding life at Charlton?
Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. Obviously, Charlton has a bit of history with women's football, and it's probably a club that should be in the top league. The way that it's run, the players it's had in its history. So I'm proud to be a part of that, and yeah, I'm hoping that I can be part of the team to try and help that happen again.
And it's a bit of West Ham connection, not only the man sitting alongside you to your left, also Dobbo, former academy player there as well. So it's a bit of a homecoming.
Yeah, I don't know if you, well, you're not going to remember, but I actually met you once and you signed my shoe. Oh. So I haven't still got the shoe. I don't know where that went, but I know it was all I had, and you said, "Are you sure you want me to sign it?" And I was like, "Yeah." But yes,
your mum told you off.
I know.
Well, Kate, let's come on to the women's team this season. It's been a good season so far, top of the table. It certainly seems like everything's going well.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of teams in the league that are close to us on points, so we're certainly not getting carried away. We know that one result can change that, and we could drop to third or fourth. So it's just about being consistent, keep trying to pick up the points. We got off to a slow start, but in the last few games we've really been picking up points, and we're hoping that we can keep doing that.
Well, Curbs, there was also a special award given this week to Charlton women's manager Karen Hills.
Oh yeah.
Who was nominated and then given the Manager of the Month. Kate, first of all, what's it like working with Karen?
It's really good. She's very relaxed in the way that she wants things to come across, but also drives us with standards and wants us to be the best players that we can be, tries to get the most out of every player. And it's really enjoyable to play for her, for the staff. I mean, you see that picture there, it's a whole group effort as well. We have a lot of great staff at the club, and yeah, they just want us to become the best players that we can be, but also like be the best team that we can be.
It's a little known fact, but I do have a vote for Manager of the Month award. On behalf of the League Managers Association, because I'm on the committee, so I watch a lot of the women's football, and I get a vote. And when I voted this week, or last week, for the Manager of the Month, I had to put a little thing at the bottom saying, this ain't favouritism, but Karen gets my vote. And they went, no, we understand. And then it came back, because obviously it was done a couple of weeks, it came back that she's won it, and I thought, oh right, I couldn't have been the only one that's voted for her.
Exactly.
But yeah, she's deserved it.
And Curbs, you saw the photo there with Karen and all her staff. How much difference does a good backroom staff make to a manager?
I think that, we've got to give great credit to Thomas Sandgaard, because I think once he come into the club, he highlighted it straight away and put more money into the women's side, and quite rightly so, and perhaps built the infrastructure up to give Karen the platform to be a bit of a success. And I think the fact that, and I said earlier about the fact that the women play here, that's right, they should be playing here. I think the only thing that because the pitches can handle it, and you can see when they play at Tottenham, Arsenal, it's no problem. It's the fact of opening the stadium and the cost of that. And I think Thomas took it on the chin, put decent money into the women's side, and it's paying dividends now, isn't it?
He certainly is, yeah. Certainly, it's great to see the women's team continue to perform really well. And Kate, you've got a game tomorrow against Bournemouth in the FA Cup.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough game. They're a couple of leagues below us, but they've won every single game in the league this season, so we're certainly not taking them lightly. It will be a good chance for us to get into the next round, the FA Cup, but we have to take them seriously and know that they can cause us problems as well.
You've got a good history of the FA Cup, I believe, just getting to the final twice.
Yeah, it's a good history if you win it, isn't it? But I've got to 2 FA Cup finals, but unfortunately lost in both of them. So, yeah, hopefully, who knows, this season, maybe that'll be the one.
Well, exactly.
Who knows?
And starting tomorrow against Bournemouth.
Yeah.
Curbs, any memories going down to Bournemouth?
Not many, because obviously they wasn't in our league. They've done fantastic work to get where they are now. But no, always sort of had a pre-season game against them, and on the way down to, we used to go to Plymouth, Bristol Rovers, Bournemouth, play all the teams there, and have a week on the road really pre-season, which used to be nice. But no, I've got no real affiliation with Bournemouth.
Well, Kate, we mentioned about the FA Cup run, but on the league, you were involved in the Women's Super League last season. How desperate are you to get there with Charlton for the end of this season?
Yeah, of course it has to be the aim. I think every player, every team in the Championship wants to be in the top league. But we're under no illusions how hard it is to get out of this league. And like I said before, there's probably 5 teams at the moment that could potentially go up, and only one team goes up. So it's going to be very difficult, but we're certainly trying to do our best to make sure that we're there or thereabouts at the end of the season, and then you need a little bit of luck as well, so hopefully we can get a bit of that.
Well, Kate, as we've got you here, and I think it's important we do this, just a quick word of that as well, on Joey Barton this week, which I know you responded to. We'll look at the first tweet that came in from Joey Barton if no one's seen it at home. But for you, as a women's player, how did it feel seeing that initial tweet?
Yeah, I mean, I ignored most of his tweets in the beginning. I thought a lot of people are going to have that opinion, rightly or wrongly. I don't think you're ever going to be able to have everyone with the same opinion. And as a female player, someone that watches a lot of football across all levels, just because maybe sometimes we can't physically match men on the pitch, or we're not as tall as them, quick as them, strong as them, but we can understand football exactly the same. You know, our brain works the same. It's, if you watch enough football, you do enough research and understand the game of football, it's the same for everyone. I don't think every commentator and every pundit has to be liked. We all have different opinions on what we like to listen to, what we like to watch. But just because of our gender, I think it's really ignorant to kind of make that statement. And there will be people that prefer certain male commentators to female commentators, and that's absolutely fine. There's a place for everyone. And yeah, I just think for someone to come out so boldly against women when we've pushed so hard to try and be accepted, even 1% of football to be accepted, it's quite disappointing to see that.
Well, you had a perfect response as well to that tweet from Joey, which I thought you summed it up pretty well in terms of it shows how it affects everyone in the game. And Curbs, it's not a bad response from Kate.
No, I mean, did Kevin Keegan come out recently and say a similar thing? And he was they've both been talking about commentating, not the actual playing, are they? They're talking about
it's just
on
about commentating.
Yeah. You're right. I mean, everyone's got their own opinions on commentators. I mean, I turn one or two of them down, I must admit, men and women. But and certain managers, I've got a bit of time for. I'll listen to what they've got to say. So I don't understand why he's come out. Does he want to be noticed or something? Has he been in the doldrums or something?
Yeah, it's possibly. Yeah, no, but I think it's important to discuss that. And like I said, it was a perfect response. Right, on to today. We think we've got the George Dobson interview ready for you, so fingers crossed. And here's the Charlton captain speaking to Charlton TV earlier today.
George, look, thanks for talking to us. We've won 5 of our last 7 here at the Valley. How much are you looking forward to getting back on home soil?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, we've had the 2 disappointing cup games in terms of the results, but actually from our last 2 league games we've picked up 4 points, and we're obviously in a okay place in terms of from where we were at the start of the season. So no, yeah, buzzing to be back. We know it's a huge game for us. So yeah, we just know we've got to be at it, start the game well, hopefully, and hopefully give the fans something nice to go home, 3 points, celebrate over the weekend.
As I said, the home form's been good here in the league, but we've just been knocked out of the 2 cup competitions away from home. What's the mood in the camp after that?
Yeah, absolutely fine. Obviously, the Gillingham game was a huge disappointment from everyone. The performance was nowhere near for where it needs to be. Whereas the other night, I thought for 60 minutes, 65 minutes, we were good against Reading. We're just, from where we are with the squad at the minute, we are very stretched. We've not got many senior players, so for the likes of me and a few others who are obviously the senior ones in the team, we've really got to step up and help deliver the performances for the younger players and grow with that and get the results.
And away from football, it's the greener game today here at the Valley, and you're the club's sustainability ambassador. Why are activities like that important for you?
It's just more for the future generations, really. You obviously look at everything that's going on in the world, and for me, just being able to do little things to help the environment, like driving an electric car or just recycling, just little things to help with our footprint. So yeah, no, it was nice to obviously be part of it, and for me as the ambassador, it's good to set a good example with it.
Back to football. You scored our November goal of the month for that left-footed stunner against Cray Valley. Is the left foot something you've been working on?
Yeah, to be fair, I'm actually better at shooting with my left than my right. I don't know why. It's a bit of a strange one, but yeah, I've been a little bit better in training with the left. So hopefully I can save one for the league. That'd be nice, because I've had a couple in the cup competitions this year. Obviously had the one opening day, but yeah, hopefully a couple more in the league would be nice.
And we face Cambridge United today. What sort of test are you expecting from them?
A really big one. Obviously with Neil Harris coming in, it's going to be a tough challenge in terms of their first game, and obviously the way he plays, which will be probably in a way similar to the Cheltenham test, I think. So we know we've got to stand up defensively, but at the same time play our game and look to get the ball down and play some free-flowing attacking football and hopefully score some goals, which has been our strong point so far this season.
And here at the Valley, we're back. How much will the added support be of help to you today?
Yeah, massive. Obviously, they come out in their numbers every week, home and away, and we know how important this next period coming into January is, these next 6 league games where we need to stay in and around it. So, yeah, their support's going to be massive, and as I said earlier, hopefully we can send them home happy this weekend with 3 points.
For you had to come off against Gillingham, the slight niggle. Everything okay?
Yeah, all good. Yeah, just had a tight groin, so I could have probably carried on, but I think the management staff obviously just made the decision not to risk it, and now I've recovered well over the last couple of days, so now I'm good to go.
Thanks for joining us, George. Best of luck today.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Well, it's great to hear from Dobbo there. Kate, as a captain, fellow captain of the club, how much extra responsibility does George have to take on?
Yeah, I think he's the face of the club, isn't he? When things are going bad, he's the person that probably has to come out and speak about it and answer things. But when it's going good, he's also the one that's leading them there. I think his performances week in, week out are always good. You know, he's still fairly young, so he's still learning the role. But I think especially, yeah, the way he plays and the way that you can see the other players respond to him as well. He's certainly a good captain for Charlton.
Curbs, there was a quote, I think, from yourself. I remember hearing where you were saying George is the sort of player who could have gone in one of your teams.
Yeah, one of our squad, yeah.
How much more responsibility does he take on with all these injuries?
I think you see it all the time, but he's the most underrated player in the squad for me. As a midfield player, he receives balls in bad areas, he gets out of trouble. His passing range is terrific, you know, short and long. And we know he makes these last gasp tackles and whatever. And as I say, I think he's very underrated. And I understand he's only got a couple months left on his contract, which is beyond me. I mean, I don't want to get into politics on that side. I mean, I don't understand that one. Unless it's, you know, George is saying, hey, the offer ain't good enough, or they ain't. I don't know. But I think we'll miss him if he goes.
Well, it's not too long till kick-off here. Let's have a reminder of the two teams. Mentioned earlier, Charlton with 3 changes from the midweek game against Reading in the Bristol Street Motors Trophy. In come Terrell Thomas, Henry Ryler, who retains a spot from midweek. Chem Campbell and Corey Blackett-Taylor, the other 2 to come in. Kate, let's start with you. You've had experience of the Valley, but a day like today, that's going to play so much of a key feature.
Yeah, of course, you need the fans behind you. I think the fans have been really good since I've been here. I've noticed certainly they like to get behind the team.